This is WVUA News with special championship week coverage from Alabama's home team.
And good evening, live from New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm John Huddleston, joined tonight by Sports Director Gary Harris. This is WVUA News at 10. Coming to you a little bit late tonight, but for good reason. Alabama brings home national championship number 14, a 21-0 win over LSU. Gary, number 14, nice to get, but even nicer to do it in dominant fashion against the Tigers.
Absolutely. You see us sweating, it's because it's hot out here, not because of the game. Alabama, the defense was so dominant, John, and in fact, established clearly that they are the best defense in the country, without question. One of the best, I think, arguably of all time. When these stats are added up at the end of the day, Alabama's defense is going to stack up against some of the great defenses in the history of college football, particularly when you consider the era that we're in, the offensive era. The rules are shaded toward passing and the spread offenses, but 8.8 points per game coming in, and some of those touchdowns were not scored against the defense, and then a shutout tonight, 21-0. It was an incredible defensive performance, and it had to be, because in that first half, it looked like deja vu all over again, you know?
Right.
One of those kind of sayings. It's deja vu, certainly, because LSU was hanging in even though Alabama was dominating the game. But the biggest play in the game, and there were some big ones, came Jeremy Shelley's missed some, but that field goal he kicked right before half that made it a 9-0 game and made it 2 scores. LSU struggling to move the football. I think some wind went out of their sails. It's 6-0.
Definitely.
They're 1 play away. At 9-0, they were 2 scores down.
You mentioned dominant defense. Alabama certainly had their fair share over the years. You talked about 1992. You talked about 2009. This one right up there with them, maybe even at the top.
Yeah, 61. It goes on and on. 79, 92, 2009. You mentioned some. 1989 was a good defense. 2005 with this defense. What it did tonight in a BCS Championship game, I don't know that we've ever seen anything like it. I think it, and I will have to check the stats, but I'm pretty sure in the BCS era, this is the first shutout in a championship game. And let's be clear on this. LSU never really threatened.
No.
Late in the game, they had to go for it on a 4th and 13 from about the 40-yard line. Yeah, and Jefferson got sacked and fumbled. Alabama's defense would have won this game if it had been 3-0. But it was great that late at 15-0, Trent Richardson tacked on a touchdown, put an exclamation point on his career, because I do think he is going to move on to the NFL. So the defense was dominant, but the offense did its part too.
Yeah, offense tonight, they didn't really get a touchdown until the end of the game, but it seemed like that the offense took more chances early in this game tonight.
They got LSU off balance early. A.J. McCarron had received a lot of criticism, but I'm telling you, he made some throws. Now, maybe the throw on the wheel route to Smelly could have been a little bit better. Smelly could have helped him out and made a catch. But late in the game, he hit Brandon Gibson right in the numbers at the 1-yard line. That was a drop. But he played beautifully. And early in that game, they established that they would take their shots down the field. They loosened up that defense and ran all those plays. And by the end of the game, LSU was worn out, and Trent Richardson pretty much walked in for a late touchdown. But the offense controlled the clock. First half, 41 plays to 17. Do you know what that does to defense? LSU's defense was on the field almost the entire half. So the offense certainly came up big.
Well, we've got a lot more we're going to talk about in just a moment, but first, you've got a special guest joining us tonight.
Speaking of defense, we're going to bring in Steve Webb, former Holt High School and Alabama's second-team All-SEC outside linebacker, played from 88 through 91, was on some really good teams. He missed that 92 team by 1 year, but your thoughts on this Alabama defense, Steve, tonight?
Well, today it was a totally dominant defensive play. I mean, the guys came out there, they shut down LSU's offense, and you know, we've been telling people all through the season that our defense was great. And so for the first time, LSU got a chance to see the full capacity of our defense.
You know, you give LSU credit for what they did in Tuscaloosa. They found a way to win the game. But this Alabama defense was dominant in that game, too. They gave up 2 field goals in regulation, one of them coming after LSU got an interception down the 12-yard line. They've been great all year, Steve.
Well, we weren't going to be denied tonight, and we respect LSU because they do have a great defense. But people need to realize Alabama has the #1 defense in the nation, and tonight we proved the point in all aspects of the game by shutting LSU down, keeping them from scoring, keeping their offense down to about a little over 100 yards of total offense. I mean, we did what we did. This is what Alabama does.
That's the way they win games. And offensively, as John and I just talked about. Again, they struggled to get a touchdown. They finally broke through and got a touchdown. It took 8 quarters and an overtime, but Alabama got a touchdown against this team. But they controlled the clock. They wore down that LSU defense. They kept the LSU offense off the field. So even though they were kicking field goals, again, they were controlling the football game.
We did. And the thing about it is, the first game we felt that we left a lot of points on the field. Today, our kicker did a good job. We scored a touchdown. And with our defense, the defense that we have, we didn't need to score very many points, but we scored enough. But 21-0, national championship game in New Orleans, it doesn't get any better than that.
All right, real quickly, Mays went out 30 seconds. What about the job that Kevin Norwood did?
He did a very good job coming in, filling in for him because, of course, you know, Mays is a game. He's a game changer. And, of course, pulling a hamstring, that happens. But the guy came in, he backed up, made a couple of good runs, did a good job.
All right, thank you, Steve. We got to go to a break?
No, we're going to go back to
Okay.
Victoria Sheehan in Tuscaloosa. She's standing by to throw it to Les Miles, I believe. Victoria?
Okay.
All right, thanks, Gary and John. Well, welcome back to Tuscaloosa, now the home of 14 national championships. And right now, we're going to go live to Les Miles' press conference in LSU.
Got to the back end of the seasons and won bowl games and won championships. And you cannot enjoy it any more than we have. In the same vein, it was as painful as anything we've been through. So these two guys were kind enough to come out there. They're heartsick. They played extremely hard from start to finish. Never once winced, and they represent a very, very sad locker room right now. So. Locker room that has a very, very capable, very talented, a team that's won a lot. So.
At this time, we'll take questions for LSU. Please raise your hand. Let's start here on the second row. Let us get a mic to you, please.
Coach Miles, did you ever consider bringing in Jarrett Lee, considering that you weren't taking any chances down the field? Now, I know Alabama's defense is dominant, but come on, that's ridiculous. 5 first downs. I mean, so it's almost the approach, I'm going to tell you from the fans' standpoint, that how can you not maybe push the ball down the field and bring in a Jarrett Lee? So what if you get a pick 6? It seems like the game plan that you're not pushing the ball down the field, considering the assets like a Reuben Randall or Odell Beckham Jr. Now, I know the pass rusher of Alabama, but there's no reason why in 5 first downs. I mean, they're a great defense. LSU's a great defense, but that's ridiculous.
Do you have a question?
No, that's the question.
Okay.
Do you think you should have pushed the football more downfield?
I think if you watch our calls that we did throw the football down the field, we didn't necessarily get the football down the field. And I can tell you that the pass rush, we did consider Jarrett Lee, but we felt like with the pass rush that we were getting, that we needed a guy that could move his feet and not sustain that pass rush.
Let's move to the left side, the third row. Go ahead.
Les, what made it so difficult to get first downs and move the ball?
To start the game out, we had a difficult time communicating. There was a number of missteps by our offensive line. A number of miscommunications, and we really did not handle the noise at the start. Now we practiced against it extremely, really for weeks, and so we felt like we were prepared, but obviously we were not.
We'll stay on the left side, move back a couple rows.
Coach, I guess the consolation of this game is that as good as this team was, you beat them earlier this season. Can you talk about whether this rivalry is in your mind starting to resemble some of the other great conference rivalries of history, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Nebraska?
Well, I can tell you that we will look forward to taking the field against that team yet again, and that we understand that they won the last round. We got that one figured out, so we'll respond.
Fourth row on the aisle. Go ahead.
Coach, when you're so close to the precipice of greatness and you fall short in a game like this, how bitter of a pill is this to swallow?
All right, well, that was the look at Les Miles, obviously a little heartbroken, but here in Tuscaloosa, an opposite story. Bama fans are bursting with Crimson Tide, obviously, now that the Tide has captured their 14th national championship. And right now, you're looking at video just moments ago at the Houndstooth Bar on the Strip next to the university. Despite being physically taken away from their team, never to worry. The Alabama faithful represented with their own tidal waves of crimson and white. And here's what some fans had to say. Oh, and we'll have that a little bit later, but right now, actually, here's a live look at the Strip on University Boulevard. It's actually closed down right now. As you can see, the amount of fans that came out to celebrate for Tuscaloosa's win is just immense. And so if you're planning on driving, I would definitely take a different route, because right now the road belongs to the fans. And if you want to celebrate even more, the University of Alabama just sent out a press release letting us know that the planes carrying the Alabama Crimson Tide football team and coaches is scheduled to arrive actually at the Tuscaloosa Airport at 12:45 p.m. and 1:15 p.m. tomorrow, which is Tuesday. And following the arrival at the airport, players and coaches will proceed to the Mal Moore Athletic Facility by bus. And all right, we're going to take a little break, but when we come back, we're going to go back to John Huddleston and Gary Harris live in New Orleans.
Welcome back to a special edition of WVUA News at 10. Breaking news here on WVUA. Again, Alabama brings home championship number 14, national championship number 14, a 21-0 winner over the LSU Tigers tonight. About as dominant as it could be. You look at these stats, Gary. They held LSU to 92 total offensive yards.
Yeah, they didn't get to 100 yards because they lost yardage. Randall taking that sack late, put them back under 100.
Held them to 92 offensive yards. Alabama, 384 yards of total offense this evening. Only had one touchdown, but you know, when you beat a team 21-0, you don't need that many, right?
Yeah, dominant in every sense of the word. I mean, and the only really surprise is that it wasn't worse than 21-0.
It could have been a lot worse.
I mean, again, Alabama kicked a lot of field goals. They missed a couple, but they made enough plays, like we talked about. And the offense was efficient. A.J. McCarron, I think 23 of 34 for well over 200 yards.
234 yards.
Didn't throw a touchdown, but didn't have a pick. In fact, no turnovers for Alabama. McCarron hit the great throw he had to Gibson that would have put the game away a lot earlier. And give Brandon, you know, he's been a good player. You know, he just didn't come down with it, but it would have first to go with the one, if not a touchdown. But I thought McCarron played the best game of his career.
Right.
On the big stage, with all the pressure on, with a lot of people saying that he was the reason Alabama lost the first time against LSU, to come out and play like this. And let's say something about Jim McElwain, the outgoing offensive coordinator for Alabama going to Colorado State. He called a brilliant game. As we talked about early, got LSU totally off balance and had a couple of calls. The wheel route to Smelly early in the game was a great call. He was wide open. And, you know, ball, I guess, could have been thrown a little bit better, but hit him on the hands. He couldn't make the catch. The throw that we talked about to Gibson, the crossing route out of the timeout, was a brilliant throw. Alabama had open receivers. He called a great game, used the run enough to keep them off balance late in the game when their defense was gassed. Trent busted down the left sideline for a touchdown. I mean, you said it, dominant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to win a national championship, but to win it like this, and you know what this does? This shuts up everybody that's been saying that Alabama, number one, didn't deserve to be in the game. Number two, if Alabama wins, if you vote for LSU or Oklahoma State in the AP poll, if you're an AP voter and you don't vote for Alabama, then you need to seriously consider giving your vote back, or they need to take it away from you, because this was the best football team in the country, clearly.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of that happening at this point. I think Alabama went out there and made a statement this evening. You mentioned the coaching by Jim McElwain this evening. Let's just talk about the coaching in general. You know, Nick Saban had kind of been criticized before about coaching not to lose. Tonight, it really looked like they let everything hang out. You had the fake field goal early in the game, and it just looked like they brought the total package.
Very aggressive. What I thought when I saw the game was Alabama in their preparation and their film study. No disrespect to LSU, but I got the feeling the coaching staff told the players, we're the better football team. Yeah. You know, they're undefeated. Give them credit. They won in Tuscaloosa, but we're a better team. And if we just go out there and do what we do, we're going to win the football game. But Nick Saban now has clearly established himself as the best football coach in college football today. That's his third BCS championship, his second in the last 3 years. And he's now never lost to any head coach 3 times in a row. And that's something else to think about. you know, a lot of people have been saying, well, maybe Les Miles is the best coach in the SEC. You know, they won last year in Baton Rouge, they won this year in Tuscaloosa, but Alabama, Nick Saban made a statement, and this is going to be a dominant program for a long time to come.
I don't think it's too premature at this point to start talking about and using the word dynasty. I think a lot of times in sports broadcasting, sports media, and it's getting excited out here right now, but a lot of times, and
people living it up behind us. Look at that.
Everybody's excited right now. Already got the signs out.
21-0.
Yeah. But what I was saying, you know, I don't think it's too premature to start using the word dynasty. I think a lot of times in sports we might use that over too much.
There's a chance. I mean, when you look at the last 4 years.
But 2 out of 3 of this.
And also, don't forget about 2008.
Yeah.
12-0 in the regular season in the SEC. They lost to Tim Tebow in Florida in the fourth quarter. Next year, come back and win the national championship. Last year, they won 10. This year, they win 12. A national championship. Now, every year's a new year. And next year, defensively, they're certainly going to lose some, but offensively, they should be better. So, yeah, they got a chance to go on a run that will give them an opportunity to be called a dynasty yet.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here in just a minute. We're going to have your local forecast when we come back as well. Also, we're standing by for the Nick Saban press conference. When that happens, we will bring it to you in its entirety this evening right here on WVUA. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after this.
Linebacker Courtney Upshaw. We do have floor mics out there. Please give us time after you raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Also, let us know who you're directing your question to. At this time, we'll go ahead and get started. Just a few comments from Coach Saban, then we'll open the floor for questions.
Well, you know, it's certainly been a privilege, you know, to have the opportunity to coach this group of young men on this team. You know, it's sometimes easy to do the right thing some of the time, but these guys over the last year have done things right almost all the time. And, you know, the goal today was you control your destiny, you control what you do. The outcome of the game, as good as LSU was, will be determined by how we play and what we do. And I think the players really responded well to that. You know, we went to see the movie Red Tails last night, which I would recommend to anybody. But, you know, those guys' motto was the last plane, the last bullet, the last man, the last minute, we fight. And we always stay with the mission. And I think that kind of described the spirit of that group extremely well, but it also describes the spirit of, you know, the group of players that we have on our team this year, and takes a tremendous amount of resiliency to come back. It was tougher losing a game, and I think that demonstrates the character of the people in that locker room to come back from that game and finish the season like they did.
Questions for Alabama? We'll start here on the front row, far right.
This question's for Coach Saban and for AJ both. Coach, Marquise gets hurt very early in the game, and then Norwood comes in, 4 catches, 78 yards. Talk about the job he did stepping in. This is for Coach and AJ both.
I didn't hear exactly who you were asking about.
Asking about the job that Norwood did after Mays got hurt.
And who you say came in?
Norwood.
Oh, Kevin Norwood did a great job in the game. Made some big catches, and we knew we were going to have to throw the ball on first down to move the ball effectively. I thought our receivers did a great job. AJ did a great job. We had solid protection for the most part. So, you know, it was really a team effort, but those guys made some outstanding catches. And Kevin has, when he's got the opportunity to play this year, he's played well and made good plays for us, and, you know, made big catches, and he certainly made some big catches tonight.
I mean, we didn't have that, you know, happen all year, but when we rotate in and out during practice, and we see that happen all year long, every day of the week. Guys step up and make plays for us, and my offensive line gave me time, and I just put it in their area, and those guys went up and made a bunch of plays tonight for me, and I mean, you can't say enough about that group.
Let's move to the far left. I see 2 hands, and then we'll come to the center. Go ahead.
For AJ, what was your reaction when, you know, you got the game plan and you saw, I guess, how much was going to be on your shoulders, especially on first down plays?
I mean, I was very thankful, you know, first of all, about it. We've been leaning on number 3 all year. I mean, he's our workhorse. I mean, he's our main guy. And we knew coming into the game somebody else had to step up. And Coach just gave me an opportunity. Like I said, when you got a group of receivers like I have, It makes your job easy as a quarterback. And you just got to put it in their area. They go up and make the plays for you. And they make you look like the hero. But, yeah, I mean, it all falls back on those guys and that offensive line for giving me enough time.
Again, on the far left.
Nick, this movie that you guys went to see last night sounds a little like a variation on what you've been saying all year about finish, something left over from last year. In this game, did you feel like this team came as close as a team can come to finishing every play mentally, physically, emotionally?
Well, you know, that was kind of the message before the game, is that we wanted to finish. In fact, it was a question: how bad do you want to finish? You know, what's your effort going to be, your enthusiasm, your excitement to play in the game, the toughness that you're willing to play with, all the intangibles, and you do it one play at a time. And regardless of what happens in the game, and I think that was, we certainly didn't play a perfect game. We got a field goal blocked. We couldn't score a touchdown for a long time, but the guys just kept playing, and never once was anybody ever discouraged about anything that ever happened in the game. And I think that attitude prevailed for us as a team. We were just going to play one play at a time, finish each play, and regardless of what the circumstance was on the play before, have a sort of an I will not be denied attitude about how we'll play the next play. And I think that spirit was sort of reflected out there in the way our players competed.
The center of the room, back about 8 or 9 rows. Go ahead.
This question is for quarterback McCarron. What motivated you going into the second half after you did so well in the first half? You came out in the second half, you were fired up again. It's something that it didn't happen in the first game, but this second game, you really came up fired up. What was your motivation?
Well, you know, I always laugh about it. After or during that Florida game, I'm sure pretty much most of the country saw Coach, you know, rip me for showing too much emotion. And after the LSU game the first time, he told me to play like myself, show emotion. And
well, let me correct that. I just didn't want to have to pull that big guy you were ready to get into it with off of you.
So Coach told me to, you know, show some emotion, play like myself. And I'm just thankful Coach, you know, gave me the opportunity to, you know, come out and, you know, put the ball in my hands and let me make some plays. And, you know, I think a bunch of our success goes to the guys that don't really get it, that people don't see, is the defensive scouts. I mean, those guys gave us a perfect look all week long, or the past, you know, 44 days or however long we've been practicing for LSU. I mean, those guys have been perfect on that side of the ball during practice. And, I mean, those are the guys that don't ever, you know, get noticed in the newspapers. And they earned this just as much as everybody else that played the game tonight.
4th row on the aisle. Go ahead.
AJ, Mitch Dobbs, Bama Magazine. I know you like to share credit, and I know that it was a team win, but tonight you had one of the best games for an Alabama quarterback ever in a national championship game. It was, numbers-wise, it was one of the best quarterbacks ever had. What did you do over the past 44 days to prepare yourself completely for that?
I don't think I did anything special, really. I mean, I always, you know, bust my butt in the film room. I mean, it helps, you know, when you got a little longer. You can study them a lot more, but I bust my butt in there. I know everything they want to do, certain downs and distances, but, I mean, that goes back to, you know, our coaching staff. We got the best coaching staff in the country. And, I mean, I felt like it was, you know, in my hands to kind of send Coach Mack off on a win, on a big win, and off to his, you know, his new coaching journey. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just glad, you know, Coach gave me the opportunity. I don't think I did anything special, though. I just, like Coach always tells me, just go out and play your game. We had on the bus ride the other day, I sat with him. He just talked. He said, listen, you don't have to win the game. Just go play your game. And I felt like I did that tonight.
Staying on the same row to the end.
Courtney, Ben Stanfield, WTVY, Dothan, Alabama. Just a quick question. The defense pitched a shutout tonight, and LSU only crossed the 50, I think, one time. Can you talk about the chemistry and just the overall performance?
It comes from, we all out there having fun. Coach Saban tell us all, that even the guys on the sideline, even if you're not a player, just to, make sure you're in the game. And, when one player make a play, all 10 of the rest of the guys, trying to go celebrate with that guy, it's just us going out and having fun with each other.
Moving back to the other side. Go ahead, third row.
Yeah, as near as we could tell, this question is for Coach Saban. As near as we could tell, AJ was the first sophomore or younger quarterback to win a championship in the BCS era. What sets him apart from other quarterbacks that you've coached or coached against?
Well, AJ's been in a program for 3 years, and even though this is his first year starting, I think he's taken advantage of maturing as a player because he does prepare well. He has got really good football instincts about what he's doing. He's a talented guy, and he's learned, I think, how to take what the defense gives and play with patience and not try to force plays. And he's played well for us all year long. And I told him when we were riding on the bus the other day, that first LSU game was not one of your best games, but you really don't have to win this game. You just got to play your game. And that's really what we want all of our players to do, and I thought he did a fantastic job of that tonight. Now, I would like to make a comment about the question you asked Courtney over here about our defense. I mean, you're talking about one of the most competitive groups of guys as a group. I mean, sometimes I get mad at them in practice because they get a little bit hurt and they don't run to the ball like I want them to or like we want them to or whatever. But I always know, when you throw the ball out, they're going to go get it because they are a hateful bunch and they are competitive as you can ever imagine. And I think that's probably why they played really well in big games.
Third row on the aisle.
This is for both Courtney and Nick. Coach always talks about total domination. Did you do that tonight? And also, did you sense that Jordan Jefferson was just totally frustrated to the point that he really couldn't function?
Well, we want to just go out and execute our game plan. We knew they was going to try to, do something here and there, and we just want to, stick with the game plan, keep him contained, keep him in the pocket, make him a passer. And the coaching staff put it, put it to us straight that we had to just go out and execute, the game plan, do our job, and don't try to do too much.
They really had us a little bit off balance. They spread us in regular people, and they had some people open, and in those cases, in most of those cases, it was the pass rush and the pressure that affected the quarterback. Even if we didn't sack them, that probably saved us because there were 2 or 3 plays where they had the tight end open down the middle. We tried to play nickel against it, and that didn't work out so well. So they did some good things in the game that caused a little bit of confusion for us. Our players adapted well to it and adjusted, and I think did a really good job.
Would you call it domination? Would you use that word?
No, I'm sure when we watch the film, these guys know we always have a good, bad, and ugly reel, and I can always find something ugly to talk about.
We'll move back to the other side, the fifth row on the end. Go ahead.
Courtney, just as the game went along, what were you sensing from their offense, their players, in terms of any sort of frustration or confusion?
I don't know. I mean, in a way, you can say that you can sense the frustration on them. They was getting down, and going to the fourth quarter, you got to score. To stay in the game. And I know on defense, we just kept saying that we want to go out and make plays, and that the game wasn't over because we knew, watching them in the SEC Championship, that they came back in the second half and was basically dominant, against Georgia. So we just want to go out and just finish the game, and that's one of our mottos here is to finish.
Let's come up to the front row on the end.
Nick, you're not easily impressed, but I saw you looking at the stat sheet. When you look at those numbers, are you a tiny bit impressed by what your team did?
I was really looking at, I know AJ threw it a lot, but I just was seeing how many he completed and how many yards we had passing. But, LSU's got a really good team, and I'm really proud of the way our team competed in this game today. They're the only team that beat us. And, in a way, to have two teams as good as our two teams in the same division, in the same conference, is pretty unique. But I think, I think that their players are one of the most difficult groups that we have to prepare for and play against. And I was really proud of the way our players, played in this game tonight. And, I know we're going to have to play them again next year.
Moving toward the back in the center of the room. Go ahead.
Coach Saban, this is your second championship victory in this building. It'll be another 4 years that the BCS comes back to this building. Think you have to wait that long for another championship?
Look, I'm a day-to-day guy, so we're process-oriented in what we do. It's always our goal to give our players the best chance to be successful, and the only thing I'm disappointed about, because it means a lot to me to win the SEC championship, and we weren't able to accomplish that, this year. But I'm very proud of what our players did in coming back and winning this game, and we'll continue to recruit and try to develop the players we have, and hopefully at some point in time in the future, maybe we'll have another opportunity to do this.
Let's move to the left side, the third row. Go ahead.
Question for Nick. I'm hearing my peers describe it as, having you put the load on AJ's shoulders. Is that an accurate characterization of the game plan? And at what point did you decide to do that, and why?
Well, it wasn't about AJ. It was about, they've got a very good defensive front, and they play a lot of 8-man fronts on rundowns. And we felt like in the first game, we should have thrown the ball more on first down in our sort of assessment of ourselves. And we knew that we were going to have to throw the ball on first down to take advantage of that circumstance and situation. So it was about what we needed to do to win the game. And, I believe in trusting and believing in the players. And I've always trusted AJ, and I believe in him. And I don't mind putting the ball in his hands so he has an opportunity to make those plays, as long as he makes good choices and decisions about what he does with it. And he's done a good job of that all year. So, it was no problem for us to do that. And when we had to run it, we were able to run it fairly effectively, in the second half. And offensive line did a really good job, because you can't throw it unless you can protect. And they've got some good rushers, inside and out. So our offensive line did a good job. The receivers did a good job. I think AJ would be the first one to tell you, when you have success, whether you're throwing it or running it, everybody out there has got to do their job. And I think it was a job well done by the entire group.
We'll move back to the right, to the fourth row. This will be our last question for Alabama. Go ahead.
Yeah, right here, Coach Saban. This defense gave up 92 total yards tonight. You've had a lot of great defensive teams that you've coached. Now that the season is over, is this the best defense that you've ever coached?
Well, I don't like to make comparisons. These guys are, a fine group. This has been a great team to coach. It really has. I mean, somewhere along the line, after the bowl game last year, they made a commitment. There was a lot of good leadership on this team. I actually thought in some ways we had more talent on our team last year than this year. But the character, the attitude, the resiliency of this group, the work and the commitment and the buy-in was what made this team different. And I can't tell you what defense was the best. I can just tell you this was one of the most enjoyable teams to coach.
How about Jeremy Shelley, coach?
Jeremy did a great job, in the game. We have lots of confidence in Jeremy. He doesn't have great range, but when we get it down there by the 25-yard line, he does a pretty good job for the most part. We got one blocked, and he pushed one to the right a little bit, but we were just going to keep on keeping on and keep giving him opportunities, and I think he did a fantastic job.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
right, and that was a live look, of course, from Nick Saban and some Alabama players after a historic win of number 14. And right now we're going to take a live look again at the University Boulevard near the Strip. And as you can tell, no way to get cars down there. What used to be a ghost town just a few days ago is now just filled with fans celebrating a wonderful win. So don't try to drive down there if you're going down there. Right now we're going to take a break, but when we come back, more news live from New Orleans.
And welcome back to a special edition of WVUA News at 10. We say special edition because it's coming up on about 11:30 right now, Gary.
We might go all night.
Yeah, we might. Gary Harris, John Huddleston, live in New Orleans this evening, where Alabama's just won their 14th national championship. Special teams tonight. Unbelievable for the Crimson Tide. A lot of redemption for that kicking unit out there.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
You know, Shelley 5 of 7 on field goals. As we mentioned, made that huge one right before halftime to take it to a 2-score game. Missed a couple. Missed that extra point in the end when it really didn't matter. But early in the game, Marquise Mays, a punt return that I think he would have scored on, John, had he not pulled up lame. Unfortunately, he didn't come back to the game. The coverage units, incredible. Smothered LSU on punt and kick returns. Cade Foster did a great job kicking off. Mandel hit a big punt late in the game when it was still a game. And Alabama was backed up to hit one of the best punts he's ever had, and Honey Badger fielded it and got eaten up like the Honey Badger is supposed to do the eating up. So, yeah, special teams, defense, offense, total team effort. They just absolutely played terrific, and you know, that was just a great total performance.
What else can you say? Dominant performance out there tonight. All right, it is coming up on about 11:30 here in New Orleans. It is still a chaotic atmosphere. We haven't been down to Bourbon Street yet tonight. Might go there later. But right now we want to go back to Victoria Sheehan in Tuscaloosa. Tori, I understand that is heating up on the Strip as well.
It definitely is, John and Gary, and I hope you're having fun in New Orleans, but it looks like people are having plenty of fun here in Tuscaloosa. Our crews were actually out on the Strip at the beginning of this madness that you can see right now. Tuscaloosa came alive once again to the news of a number 14 national championship, and you're looking at video just moments after the official win. As you can see, there's plenty of celebration in New Orleans, but as you can see, Tuscaloosa is not going to have New Orleans have all the fun. So, and also a live look right now at what you just saw. This is the crowd that you can see, and actually it looks like there's a little bit of toilet paper near the Houndstooth, which is a bar located near the heart of Alabama's campus. I'm not really sure whose fans did that, but the crowd has been growing by the second. Our newsroom has been watching this right after the win, and it has just been growing by the second. This town has gone through quite a bit this year, and to see these images of people celebrating, it seems to be kind of a deep breath that this entire town has been going through. And actually, the Academy Sports Store in Tuscaloosa, oh, and actually, here's more video of fans celebrating right after the win. And of course, there were plenty of excited people to talk to, and our crews were right there to talk to these ecstatic fans. Here's what they had to say.
This is great. 2 and 3 years. I mean, this is what we played for. This is what we live for here. After the tornado, this is what Tuscaloosa is all about. We get around our team, and we play like champions, and we are fans as champions, and we do what we got to do. Roll Tide to the day I die.
All right, and the road to 14 was a bumpy one for the Tide, but now little of that matters as the University of Alabama once again holds the crystal ball. And fans are, of course, wanting to get that national championship gear as soon as possible, and you can. Right now, as we speak, Academy Sports on Skyland is open and ready to take in the mass of people eager to get their hands on the first pieces of historic memorabilia. We sent a crew out to that store who was waiting for the final score before they even opened the boxes, and this is the scene of chaos that followed. WVUA also had a chance to speak to some very excited fans.
We just really wanted to get the 14th national championship t-shirt.
I love Alabama.
Me too.
Obama outlined his new
Alabama's home team weather.
All right, let's talk a little weather on this Monday night. By the way, roll tide to you. We're looking at some showers and storms happening on Home Team Interactive Radar. Nothing severe tonight, so that is good news. And all the activity mainly north of U.S. Highway 82 right now, north of Tuscaloosa back towards Reform and Gordo. This activity is moving off towards the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. And again, nothing overly heavy on Home Team Interactive Radar. Nothing severe tonight, but that could change tomorrow. Temperatures still very warm this evening, 60 in the city of Tuscaloosa approaching the midnight hour. Still warm out there, 60 in Birmingham. A little bit cooler north of the front. We have 54 in Haleyville, 56 over in Coleman. And really many of us are in the 50s at this hour, but it is muggy. The moisture levels are high this evening, so that makes it kind of feel sticky outside. Been out and about. The showers and storms happening mainly north of us now. And the best coverage of rain again north of Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. You see down the southwest, New Orleans catching a break in the activity. In fact, the rain really splitting in the area, so certainly a welcome sight for our crews down in New Orleans. It does not look like rain will fall over the next few hours, but that will change later tonight down in the Big Easy. And this storm system that's wrapping up down to our southwest is going to come in here tomorrow and produce a lot of rain. Look for rain totals between 1 and 4 inches statewide. And there could be some flooding issues. Now, forecast for Tuesday, shower storms again a good bit. Nothing severe early in the day, but that could change later in the afternoon and evening hours, especially as we approach 3 o'clock or so tomorrow evening. 67 should be our afternoon high. But again, there's a small risk of a storm growing strong to severe. Main threat going to be heavy rain and strong damaging winds. We'll watch things close again on radar tomorrow. Here's that storm system now over to southeast Texas, and that is spreading north and east. And ahead of that, we have that stationary front draped across the northern counties, and that serves as a focal mechanism for the showers and storms. And a big-time snowstorm happening back over Texas, big upper-level low back on the backside of the storm system. That's going to bring some showers as we go into the day on Wednesday as well. But it gets cooler, in fact, much colder past that cold front. Now, here's what we're talking about on Futurecast. Rain should increase tonight. And if you have plans, travel plans, anytime tomorrow, just take it extra easy on the roadways. It's going to be a lot of rain if you're heading back from New Orleans or if you're heading out of town. Look for some heavy rain at times. Again, rain totals could approach 4 inches in spots, so mainly just 1, 2, maybe 3 inches. But again, some of those locally heavier amounts will likely approach 4 inches. Behind this front, it does get cooler. Upper level low behind that will bring some showers, I think, on Wednesday. It gets a lot colder behind our secondary front that's due in here Thursday. In fact, we'll likely stay in the 40s all day. Thursday could stay in the 30s much of the day on Friday as an Arctic air outbreak takes over. In fact, some really cold stuff in time for the latter half of the week. And the weekend is looking fairly cool. Now, talking about the severe weather potential out there, again, a very low-end threat, not a major outbreak, anything like that. But there could be some isolated severe storms, mainly south of Tuscaloosa back towards Aliceville, down towards Linden, Demopolis, Greensboro. That chance of a quick spin-up tornado, damaging winds, some hailstones with that as well. And the time frame we're talking about, 3 p.m. to 3 o'clock in the morning. To the north, just a lot of heavy rain, maybe a strong storm or two north of Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. Again, not a major threat, but we'll watch the radar close. 57 tonight, cloudy skies, rain is likely. While that east wind, tomorrow temperatures back up in the upper 60s to around 70 at spots. Depends on how much sun you see. Expect a mostly cloudy sky, southeast breeze at 6 to 12. Could gust as high as 20 to 25 tomorrow afternoon as that low pressure gets wrapped up near our area. 100% chance to rain tomorrow, so guaranteed bet. It will rain. Temperatures back in the 60s on Wednesday. Falling temperatures. Expect us back in the 40s for afternoon highs on Thursday, and Friday mid-40s are likely. Coming up next, we're taking back down to the Big Easy where Gary and John is live. We're coming up after the break. Stay with us.
Now, the Tuscaloosa Chevrolet Sports Update with WVUA's Gary Harris.
The Energy Building in downtown New Orleans, just a stone's throw from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, is lit up with the BCS logo, the LSU and Alabama colors, and, of course, the final score. The score tonight that Alabama fans will remember for a long, long time, forever, indeed. 21-0, the Crimson Tide over the LSU Tigers. Alabama wins a 14th national championship, the BCS Championship trophy given out to the Crimson Tide tonight. The AP will vote tomorrow, or actually maybe later tonight, and I don't see any way in the world now that Alabama won't win the AP national championship as well after this dominating performance 21-0. LSU really never threatened to score. Let's talk some more about that defense. It was a great team effort, offense, special teams, and defense, but the defense was phenomenal. 44 plays for LSU, 92 net total yards. That's a little more than 2 yards per play. They got into Alabama territory twice in the game, both in the second half, and their last opportunity to have any chance to win, 15-0 with around 7 minutes to go in the game. They went for it on 4th and long, and Jordan Jefferson was sacked, fumbled the football. Nick Gentry recovered it. That was game, set, match. Trent Richardson added a 34-yard touchdown run for icing on the cake, and Alabama cruises. One of the most dominant BCS Championship game performances that we've seen yet, 21-0. And now the celebration is on here in New Orleans. I'm sure a lot of the crowd has already filtered over to Bourbon Street, and it will go on to the wee hours of the morning. Alabama wins the national championship. The Tide finishes 12-1 on the season. The only blemish was that 9-6 loss to LSU in Tuscaloosa in overtime back on November 5th. Outside of that, Alabama's closest game was 27-11 at Penn State. A 16-point margin of victory in that one, a 21-point margin of victory tonight, a 28-point win over Auburn. It goes on and on. Alabama with a dominant defense, holding opponents to single digits on the season. All right, that's a look at sports. We have been with you for a while. You've heard from Nick Saban. You've heard from Les Miles. We'll take a timeout, and we'll have more from Tuscaloosa and New Orleans on this championship Monday night. Alabama wins it all. We'll be back after this.
And welcome back to New Orleans. We're going to wrap things up tonight, but first some final thoughts on a great night for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, the great rock band Kiss, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, what's saying, rock and roll all night, party every day. I think that's kind of the mood of the Alabama fans here. Now, seriously, we're in New Orleans.
You're right.
I mean, it's a party. And then what I mean by parties, I mean just celebrating a great night for Alabama football. And, the Tide capped it off in style, and it's been a great week for us. People have seen us in front of the camera here in New Orleans, John, but there's been a lot of people behind the camera, people back in Tuscaloosa, our production staff, our news department there, our engineering staff. We brought you a week worth of coverage. Right. And, and I'll put it up against anybody's. I mean, your home team lived up to that moniker, I think.
Yeah, absolutely we did. And, we would like to name them all by name. We certainly would like to do that. We don't have time tonight.
Let's go over our crew here.
Yeah, we will say our crew here in New Orleans tonight. Gary Harris, John Huddleston, Lynn Brooks, Bradley Whittington, holding the light back there with his hand right now, probably burning it. But nevertheless, Matt McCoy, Todd Hoyer, who's done an outstanding job all week. Danny Salter joined us this weekend. Terry Brewer was down here as well. Back in Tuscaloosa, Victoria Sheehan tonight, and all week has done an outstanding job holding down the fort there on the desk. Daniel Sparkman and Sarah Chavnik have done an outstanding job producing these specials every single night. And Jennifer Hamner, our very talented director, as well as Roy Clem. We certainly appreciate him.
Yeah, our general manager.
Yes.
And Lynn Brooks, our news director, Angie Hughes, our sales manager, they really all stepped up and made this possible. And even, people like Vicki Richardson in our traffic department handling, the spots for these newscasts. It was a total team effort by the home team and our viewers. Let's thank them.
And speaking of our viewers, what a great way to begin 2012 for them, especially after the year we had in 2011 with the tornado coming through town. This one always means a little bit more than the rest of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
It's fitting.
It is fitting.
When that tornado came through, real life always takes precedent over sports, but once the cleanup started, I think a lot of people felt like this football team was going to provide a lot of healing and a lot of good feeling for the West Alabama communities, the city of Tuscaloosa, and it certainly has, John.
Yes, it has. It has indeed, Gary. Well, we certainly appreciate you, our viewers, watching us each and every night from down here in New Orleans. We are going to leave you tonight with the sights and sounds of the Alabama Crimson Tide celebrating, raising that 14th National Championship trophy on the field at the Superdome. For all of us here in New Orleans and in Tuscaloosa, thank you for watching. We certainly hope you have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night.
Decisive. You would wonder if the Associated Press would vote LSU #1. But after what they've seen here tonight, there is no way that anybody can vote a team team better than what we looked at with the Crimson Tide.
Look at that, a lot bigger than that. LSU's got a great team. They've got a great team. And it really kind of too bad that there's two great teams in our league this year.
The Gatorade bath, the winning coach, Xavier. 2 BCS championships.